and then no one does it. But maybe this could be your opportunity.
Oh, that would be the worst thing. That is definitely something that my personality type does not get into. Is like, hey guys, that's all. Like, I was never the student body president, like lead type. I would be in the back, just kind of like saying jokes and like saying things. Why not complaining, but like saying things that are funny and trying to like make fun of a situation, and never really want to take responsibility. God, why not?
Yeah. So how did you go from being that to someone who's running these businesses and teaching and training people and educating people on these things?
That is a good question. You know, I think it was something that I really enjoyed doing. I love that feeling of giving people power, and I do joke around still. So the same personality that I had in high school. This might be terrible, but I actually one of the teachers that I hired when I owned my education company, I actually went to high school with him. And I think we were doing a training in front of everybody. And he's like, yeah, Eric pretty much acts the same as he did when we knew each other. And I was like, ooh, is that good? Like 17, 16, am I acting the same way? Like, that's not great, right? But I think what he meant was I'm very consistent. And I think doing that personality type work early helped me a lot, or in that I realized what my strengths and weaknesses were when I was in high school. And I've gotten better. I've gotten to be able to work on some of those things and maybe kind of like sand down some of the sharp edges. And I think one of those sharp edges or flaws for my personality type is we don't always finish what we start. Like we get super excited about things. We're like, oh my God, look. And then someone throws a Frisbee and then we're just like following that Frisbee. And so knowing that, that's why I think I've been able to at least accomplish certain things in my life. It's just that I've been conscious that I need to like put in the effort to finish things that I start. And that's where the businesses came about. And I want to help other people realize that they have hidden strengths maybe that they haven't realized. And people are trying to make them use their right hand when they might be left-handed, to use another metaphor. And I just want to
Yeah.
tell them that it's okay to use your left and I can help you become great at it.
I love that. And I think that there is intrinsically like part of just who we are. That if you carried those traits into your adulthood, it's also just ingrained in who you are. It doesn't mean that you're acting immature in these types of ways. I think it's more so if we have more goofy tendencies, these like playful, humorous, these types of things, they're likely to carry into our adulthood. And then the other part is, yeah, I think it's just finding something that you are interested in long enough that you do continue to see it through. And when I went on your website, that one of the first things that I thought to ask you or even to just share with you is that you've leaned fully into one niche that is so broad. And then I saw like your Marvel superhero archetype match and these types of things. And I jump around to so many different things. Like I want to do everything that then I do nothing.
Mm.
And then I abandon projects. And there was something that I as I went through scrolling through it, I respect deeply your ability to keep everything within one kind of house or community, maybe even a town, that all makes sense and it's all super cohesive.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm not really known for or being described as being cohesive since my brain is always bouncing around too. So I guess it was effort, I guess. And also a lot of help. I've had a lot of help in terms of, I remember when I owned my education company, my director who really did a lot of the work. And by that, I mean a lot of the mental work was a spider, and spider personality types are very calculating in a good way. I know calculating is sometimes a pejorative, but they're calculating, they're unemotional, they're dry, they're objective. And that was like a perfect foil, I think, for me, because she would have all these great ideas and structured out, organized out, and I would just take them and run with them because that was my personality.
Oh,
And so that worked well as a working relationship.
wow. So for anyone in listening, what are how could they possibly know, maybe even without taking the quiz, how would they determine which one they are? Because there's 16?
There are 16, which I'm sure everyone's
Uh-huh.
familiar with because MBTI, and I know the Big Five essentially uses 4 out of the 5 things from MBTI. Let's say the dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
But the most important thing is to understand there are 4 packs, right? I think that's important because oftentimes people are like, oh, that person's my personality type. And I'm like, well, only to a certain extent. You guys share a lot of traits, but you're not exactly the same because you go about them differently. For example, like your youngest son, he would be a shark, and sharks fall under the hunter pack. I mean, appropriately named, right? They're hunters. their number one value is excitement. So you can split up different people into the 4 different packs based on what their top priority is. You got safety and security, you get excitement, you get self-knowledge, and you get information. And we all value those things, but we prioritize them differently. So for your son, if he probably prioritizes excitement as his number one value, like, and that by that I mean just like grabbing things, touching things, experiencing things, throwing himself into things. But he might go about getting that excitement different than other hunters. So like comparably to a fox, which is another hunter type, foxes and sharks can appear very similar, but a shark will just wait for like, I always say they wait for 1,000 minutes to shoot one bullet to hit one target, where a fox will shoot 1,000 bullets to hit one target, which is a totally different. I'm sorry.
And hopes one lands.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they make such great salespeople. Like they're the person at the bar who's like, hey, I want to go home with someone tonight. Who are 20 people who I do not mind going home with? Okay, I'm going to ask them all out, because even if 19 reject me, one might say yes, and that's all I need. All I need is one.
So I could talk to you all day about these things. So there's the packs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the personality archetype within that, right?
Right. There's 4 animals.
And then okay.
So 4 times 4 is 16.
4 animals in each pack.
Yes.
Okay. And then you said something about half and a half. Are they also broken down into like a major?
Yeah, no, they are too. It gets really wonky when I get into this, but I mean, the book obviously goes through in detail in a fun way, I hope. Like a lot of jokes, a lot of pop culture references. But let's say we'll take the hunters, since I know your youngest son is a hunter. If we took the hunters and they value excitement more than any other types, but you can even split those initial 4 animals into 2 separate groups. One would be the foxes and the sharks. And the way they go about getting their excitement is through like an adrenaline rush. They love like just that feeling of going on a roller coaster, getting thrown around, and they just think it's fun. Like they love horror movies. They tend to love horror movies because they'll be like, yeah, I like feeling scared. That's like a fun experience. Whereas if you tell like a gatherer who values safety and security, they're like, why would I want to feel scared? That's exactly what I do not want. That's, it's my life goal to avoid it. So there's the hunters who seek excitement by adrenaline. And then there's the other hunters, and they are peacocks and butterflies, and they seek excitement through consumption. Like versus, riding a roller coaster, consumption might be like having a really nice meal, like going to a really nice restaurant, looking at beautiful things, smelling beautiful things, or not beautiful. Well, yeah, smelling things that smell great, and so they're pretty different in a lot of ways, right? So I think even within the hunter pack, you might find people who you'd be like, oh, they're very different people, but then they kind of have similar priorities.
Oh, interesting. So it sounds to me like you recognize these kind of more commonly used personality traits, and then you innovated a deeper level of understanding of them.
Yeah, I try to focus on not what we do, because I think a lot of personality methodologies, right, which makes sense. They just observe and they say, oh, this person's doing this. They seem to be good at this. Okay, that's a trait. I tend to focus on why someone does it, because we could do similar things. Like I always use authors as an example. Like authors fit all the different spectrums, right? And they're clearly all writing, but it's not even what they're writing about. It's why they write about it, right? Why are they doing it? I mean, Hemingway is so different than Tolstoy. People say, oh, they're both writers and they're both kind of like outgoing and then doing like kind of like have adventurous lives. They must be similar. It's like, no, if they talk to each other, I think Hemingway might think that Tolstoy is super preachy, and Tolstoy is going to think that Hemingway is just totally superficial. So, I mean, they're not going to relate at all, which is okay. They both have their different strengths. But Hemingway's clearly a hunter, and Tolstoy is a shaman. I mean, I think he literally became a shaman at the end of his life. So, it kind of matches perfectly.
I think that that's such an important thing, because with the fact that I specialize in anger management, there is that we really do see so much of the external expression. And so we label it as an anger problem, or they're abrasive or they're offensive, and maybe, right? And what I love about what you're doing is it so perfectly aligns with the ideology that I lead with, which is that this is all a means, right? Like there's something that they are looking to achieve here. And anger is a result of unmet needs. and not having a solution to a problem. And so a
Right.
lot of it is what's motivating the behavior versus just what we see on the outside.
Yeah, because if you don't know what the motivation is, then how can you even really treat it, right? Aside from just like,
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know, tying someone up.
I know.
I guess that works all the time. I guess. I don't,
It has its deviant, some of the deviant side comes out, and that usually can look like a good option. But yeah, I mean, I think it's in a lot of the ways that you're expressing personality types and not having to suppress them or shame them. There is that of within the anger management spectrum in general, it's don't feel anger. And oh, come over here, be like me. I don't feel anger anymore and I'll teach you how. And then of course they're fine for a couple of months and then it's just a hyper control, but it's not an actual like healing of anything. And that's why thankfully many anger management providers have gone out of business in the last 5 years or so, thankfully, because they're causing a lot of harm and perpetuating a narrative that's really dangerous within this world and within the label that they carry.
I think
So,
having like that sense of
yeah.
certainty makes people feel safe. And once again, half the population values safety and security. And that can be the way it gets twisted into a negative form or a deviant way, right? It's like, oh no, this is the way things are. And knowing that this is the way things are, and I always treat it this way because this is how I am, makes me feel safe. But obviously, that's not really life, right? Life is uncertain. So,
Yeah, I think it allows for the illusion of safety,
right.
but it's really just keeping a blinder on and acting like we don't see it.
Yeah. What do they say? Certainty